I'm in front of 437 South Broadway, our future emergency shelter for the Turlock Gospel Mission. But how did this all start? It started with a vision. And we're about to sit down with two men and talk about the vision of 437. Tim Guerino, our executive director, and Jeff Woods, former executive director of the Turlock Gospel Mission, here today on the TGM Spotlight.
Hey everybody, I want to introduce you to Jeff Woods. Jeff Woods is the former executive director of the Turlock Gospel Mission. I'm Tim Guerino. I'm the current executive director of Turlock Gospel Mission, and we welcome you to the TGM Spotlight. I'm so glad you're here today, and I'm so glad I have my brother Jeff with me. And I just want to get Jeff started with a question. And Jeff, can you share with us briefly your journey starting when you became executive director to the purchase of the 437 property and your vision and dream for that property?
Well, actually, I never thought of myself as a director of a gospel mission, but God called me to it, and I embraced it with joy. God has really done things all the way along. We didn't always know what we were doing, but He gave us a heart for the people, and we were really grateful for the people that God brought. The first night we opened, we had nobody coming because everybody was afraid we'd beat them over the head or something. But they came to know that we cared about them. And God was present in the people that He brought along, in the people He brought who prayed for us, and the support. He cared about the people on the street. And He cared about the whole community. And that's actually, the people on the street are part of the whole community. As when we began, we could only provide an evening meal. And some people said, well, what's that? But we began with what we had. And as we got to know them, then we moved into housing with the blessing of the churches around and the participation of a number of churches who joined us. As you get to know people as people, you get to see what their real needs are. And we began to think that we needed something more than just a nightly during the winter time, because we still had to send them back out in the cold. I was the one who got to send people, or had to send people, back out into the cold at the end of the season, or even after meals when we didn't have housing. Yeah. I saw them every day. As we began to think about that, we said, how can we help people make sustainable changes? How can we help them enter back into the part of the community where they can contribute just like every other member of the community contributes? This is not about people who are weak and people who are strong. God's brought us all together, and each of us has a part to contribute. So as we began praying about what God wanted for us, what God began to birth in my heart was a vision for a campus approach, a place in town where people wouldn't avoid because it's the gospel mission part of town, but a place where people could come and find hope, where we could partner with other organizations, where we could work with with people who are homeless on a year-round, daily basis. That's when He began to birth that whole thing, the vision of a mission that we would open up in a part of town, partnering with other people, working with our people. The desire, I'm not good at short answers, but
it's all right.
The desire was not only to see people get fed, but see them restored. And part of that is a long-term process. You don't become homeless overnight, usually. It's a process. To come out of it, you need a process. And so we were looking for people who would partner with us, who could help people get reestablished in jobs, where they could learn to have an apartment, where they could learn to have little successes that would build to bigger successes, where they would have some people who walked alongside them. That was the reason why we ended up opening a day center, so that we could get to know them, we could walk with them through the process, help them have the successes. And then with the opening of a year-round shelter, it would be something that would give them year-round hope.
And as you see it now with our possibility of the 437 shelter, we're close to opening it. We're short on funds. Mm-hmm. We are going to probably slow the work down, if not stop it, until we raise the funds. Mm-hmm. And then with the possibility of us purchasing the 432 building for the day center, mm-hmm. how does that bring about that vision that you saw of a campus down in that part of town?
I think probably the first thing is when we opened up the day center, we didn't have the resources, but God called us to do it. And I've seen the difference that it's made having people who can actually walk with you through the day, not just in the night when you're sleeping, not just when you need a meal and then you leave. But we've been able to get to know people and walk with them and see successes that we couldn't see on just a short-term basis. That led me to say, all right, if we can do the larger picture, the picture we've had for a campus is one where we can provide resources for people, bringing people in, bringing lawyers in, bringing doctors in, bringing other people in who can walk alongside them, where we can have training, where people can have a stable base. As a homeless person, you don't have any stable base.
Yeah.
So you leave the mission and you go back out to the unstable place. As a mission, if we have a location, number one, people know where to go, just like they do with the day center right now.
Yep.
People who want help can come for help. People who want to help can say, I know where I can go. The vision was not just to have a building.
Yeah.
The vision was to say, okay, let's take this part of town, which is an industrial residential area, not be at the scary part of town, but as people come and find hope and we start to see people taking the steps and we partner with others, then people can say, this is a place of hope. We didn't want to just build a little building with a shack on the end of it. We wanted to build a nice campus and eventually see that campus spread so that the campus would be a place where other providers would want to come and say, we'll do this.
And why is that important for us to have this campus, part of town, as you said, not a shack? Why is it important to have it as something that is of excellence with dignity? Why is that important?
People who are homeless are no different than anybody else. The difference, as I found from 7.5 years working daily with people who are homeless, the only difference between those of us who are housed and those of us who aren't is a door. We can hide our junk at home. We can hide ourselves behind the car door. Somebody who's homeless has no place to hide their junk.
Yeah.
So we see their junk, and then we think they're junk. But they were created in the image of God. And we don't want something that's, okay, that's good enough for a homeless person. How can you be restored to the image of God and see yourself as created in the image of God unless you see people who value you? We've never called the people who come here our clients.
That's right.
We have from the very beginning called them our guests.
That's right.
Because they are our guests.
That's right.
God has brought them to us. He's allowed us to walk with them. And their successes are shared by us. They have somebody to rejoice with them, somebody to walk with them. They do their own work. We walk with them. And if you have a surroundings that honors them as created in God's image, they begin to believe that God has created them in their image, even if they didn't know God to begin with. We come because the Creator, when we were homeless in terms of eternity, He came to us. He treated us with dignity. He raised us up. And therefore we're called sons and daughters of God.
Wasn't that an awesome interview? And you too can help us with this vision by going to www.turlockgospelmission.org, and you can help give to help us finish this building. It will allow us to help homeless men, women, and children and get them off the streets. I can't wait till it's built, and we can't wait to see you again on the TGM Spotlight.